Honest podcast with Dr. Yana and Dr. Sherry, where we hold honest conversations about life, relationships, challenges, and everything in between, with unfiltered discussions with real people offering their authentic stories, experiences, and perspectives. No topic is off limits and no story is too small. Join us on United Public Radio Network 107.7 FM.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to United Public Radio 107.7 live from New Orleans, Louisiana. If you're enjoying our content, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to Be Honest Talks for more updates and exciting stories. We love sharing our thoughts and ideas on this show, so keep in mind that our content isn't personalized advice. We're a couple enthusiastic voices with strong opinions. Take us with a grain of salt, a dash of humor, and always trust your gut. Now let's head on over to the Gossip Grill, sizzling with rumors, a place where whispers and stories flip and turn, sometimes burning truth to ashes, leaving the taste of bitterness in its wake. Now come along with us on Be Honest Podcast with Dr. Yana and Dr. Sherry. Step into the Gossip Grill and clear the air. Take it away, Dr. Yana.
Come along, everyone. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's myself, Dr. Yana, and Dr. Sherry. Fabulous, beautiful Dr. Sherry. And we're here on Be Honest, as always, and we're so happy that you are joining us today. I have a question for you. Have you ever found yourself tangled in a web of gossip where what is being said shapes your perception and rumors spread like wildfire? On today's show, we will delve into the intricacies of gossip in daily life, a talk about the role gossip plays in shaping our relationships, our perceptions, and society at large. Well, first off, what is gossip and why does this behavior seem so inherent? Gossip is a behavior characterized by the act of sharing rumors, other people's personal information, or stories, often without their consent or verification of accuracy. I'm sure you've been involved in discussing details of other people's lives, behaviors, relationships, or actions, typically in a casual, informal manner. And everyone who says, I've never gossiped, is a liar because all of us lied and gossiped once in our lifetime, and actually on many, many more occasions.
Absolutely. I still partake in it today. I'm guilty of gossiping. And we'll later in the show we'll go on, or as we evolve in the show we'll talk about there's not a lot of us think that gossip's just a negative word, but it has positive aspects as well. The word gossip actually, um, let's think about, they say gossip is nature's telephone. If we go back into history, somewhere between the 5th and 12th century Old English, where as far as we can decipher there were no telephones back then, right? The origin of the word gossip stems from the word gossip or gossibling, meaning God and a relative. This is like Old English formed in Christianity. It's included people who attended baptisms and confirmation ceremonies, also at the birth of children. It was often used, the term was used for both genders, just as it is today. And it's evolved over the course of time to include what we have today as gossip. The verb gossip um, came to light in the 1600s, and it's what we share in our personal affairs now,
You
casual,
know,
informal.
I kind of doubt that you engage in gossip because you can't even pronounce that word gossip because you stumble upon that can be a pretty sensitive topic. Yeah, even if we do engage in gossip once in a while, even unknowingly, it is still a gossip. It's still an unpleasant concept.
It was a necessity back before the modern time. I mean, you couldn't expect that you would send a letter out to everybody that you knew about everything going into your life. So, gossip before today was the word of mouth, and now is so many ways that gossip is shared.
Yeah. And why do they get shared? Why do we even gossip? What is a gossip? Gossip is an informal, evaluative talk about absent third parties. So, why do we gossip without their presence? It is frowned upon and often even condemned in cultures around the world. At the same time, it is a basic human tendency. People gossip about friends, relatives, co-workers, and celebrities with great appetite.
Hmm.
And especially
Media.
about celebrities. Ooh,
Yes, people tune into that. The media is the propaganda, fueled with gossip, fake news.
oh yeah, fake news. That is very. It's a huge
It
topic
is.
that actually serves the purpose in our lives as human beings, as positive as well as the negative. So let's
Hmm.
see what are the positive.
Well, it helps us assist in making decisions. We can resolve conflict. It helps us stay informed with things. Those are some things that come to mind.
I can only imagine before having a phone or even texting. Remember that we used to have pagers. I remember that pagers when people would just they won't be able to spread gossip, but they would be able to text each other, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. Well,
Gossip has been around for probably since the beginning of time.
yeah, but why? I think it is because of the social bonding, because
Yes.
gossiping can help strengthen social bonds among people, and the sharing
Hmm.
gossip about the mutual acquaintances or discussing shared interests create a sense of social circle, camaraderie, or solidarity within social groups.
Yeah. Validation. We seek validation
Validation.
from other people.
That's true. Remember that the what the used the old women do, right? They will just get together and they will just chat and gossip and spread rumors, right? And essentially, just like you mentioned, it all started at the time of the baptism, right? The start
Hmm.
of the Christianity. Although this concept pertinent to so many different cultures, in fact, all of them, but the gossip itself started when women would get together because the birth time was primarily a female uh, event, and they would just all get together and talk in the waiting
Hmm.
room before the baby is born. So that's where the notion comes from.
Yeah, I read in like back in the Middle Ages, they used to have what was called friendship circles. So they would get together in these circles in private, and they would speak about like political matters, spousal disputes, probably anything you can think of. But they were
Oh, so
called
juicy,
friendship
so juicy,
circles,
so juicy, Dr. Sherry.
and it often exactly it came known. It actually became known as a woman's hobby. I quote.
Ooh, oh my God. Well, that's what it is. Although nowadays, I believe guys are also engaging in this behavior more even than women. I believe that's associated with the age of Aquarius. What do you think? Because that's kind of a feminine influence in the age of Aquarius, and everything becomes feminized, including now guys getting into those they getting into those chatter boxes and discussing women, other people's lives, and politics. Even in politics, and we're going to get to that. That the political rumors that don't have any base underneath them, no justification.
Hmm.
So what else? Yeah, like the information sharing. People would just send letters, and even to send a letter would be pretty expensive and difficult for the
Yeah.
lack of paper, of course. And it would take several days, right? If not weeks and months to for the letter to reach the destination. Thank God we don't live in those times. Yeah, so gossip can be a means of disseminating important information in our communities, right? Because we gossip about job opportunities, local events, or changes in the social norms. So and it also establishes social norms. It can reinforce societal norms and values by praising behaviors that align with cultural expectations and criticizing those that deviate from them. Oh, This can contribute to maintaining social order and cohesion. And God
Hmm.
forbid you will deviate from the social norms because everyone else is just going to devour you. That has always been in every society. And that is why the witches have been burned alive at the stake throughout the ages. And even nowadays, like if we look at the Salem witch trial, you remember that, Dr. Sherry? You and I
Oh
lived
yeah, I was
there at the
there.
time.
I was burned at the
Yeah.
stake. I was one of the witches.
Yeah. Well, looking at your red hair, I would probably assume that that's exactly was the case. And those kind of cases. What did they imply? In fact, those were beautiful women that probably not just beautiful, but also outspoken, who did not keep
Hmm.
their tongue behind their teeth, and they would talk and they would retaliate, probably, right? They would set the boundaries, and they would also be intelligent.
Hmm.
An intelligent woman is a threat, was a threat at the time, still is. Oh my God, still is, Dr. Sherry. Don't you think so? Intelligent woman with great looks is still intimidating.
I think intelligence overall. Again, that's why people spread gossip because they're not confident in themselves. If you want to take it down that route,
Yeah,
you
that's
know.
absolutely is the case. No. So what else? Why else? What is a positive effect of the gossip? It's kind of difficult to even think of that, right?
Because we've turned
What
it in such a negative connotation. And when somebody's
always
gossiping, it's like,
got
ooh, what possibly
exactly.
could come from that?
Gossiping, rumors, exactly. So that also leads to conflict resolution because in some cases, gossiping about interpersonal conflicts can facilitate conflict resolution.
Hmm.
It provides a platform for us to express our grievances and seek support or advice, right, from other people in our social network. I remember I was calling you on several occasions and just venting about something, right? And
Hmm.
you would just be listening and saying, justfully so, that I know that this is your perspective, right? And I have not observed the behavior of other person, but I believe you, this has been your experience. You did
Yeah.
not engage, saying, you did not slander that person and say, oh, there's such and such, she's so bad, and did not really banish her from for her betrayal. You were nice, you were polite, and you never said anything. So what is the gossip and rumors, right? Gossip, they always have the negative connotation, is that we talk about people behind their backs.
Yeah. Gossip's like usually there's a quote. It says, "Gossip's when you hear something you like about someone you don't." So,
What is it? Say it again. They didn't get into my brain yet. What?
gossip is when you hear something you like about someone you don't.
Is it just so early in the morning here? Gossip about, say it again,
So
because it
it's like
sounds important.
people spread gossip, right? And you're engaged in this gossip, hoping you'll get the nitty gritty, but you're listening to gossip, and you end up hearing something that you like about someone you don't. So someone will share something that's very pleasant, but you don't like the other part of the equation. It's
Mhm.
a
It has to. Yes, it is very important. It has to have a meaning for us. Otherwise, we wouldn't even find this details juicy, right?
Right, and like we were talking about earlier, how like it's not even about the gossip that's being shared. You should be cautious of the person who's gossiping because that's really about their character. And chances are, like we've heard before, that if they're gossiping about someone else, chances are they're also gossiping about you.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Every time that someone I hear gossips, and people don't dare to come and gossip to me because they say sometimes like, oh, everyone comes to me and tell me their stories and everything they know about them. And I wonder, why you all the time? Nobody comes to me. Nobody tells me all those juicy stories, juicy details, because they know that I would go and I would verify them, and I'm not going to engage in a discussion of somebody behind their backs unless
Hmm.
there is a constructive way to resolve the dispute, for example, right? So no, people don't come to me. I'm such a ungossipable person.
No rumor mill there.
No, you and I invent words here. Yeah, I'm so ungossipable. It has to get into the dictionary.
Urban Dictionary might accept that one.
Yeah, so unless there is a conflict resolution, engaging in this kind of a behavior is bad because if somebody comes to me and say, "Oh, such and such did this," right, and or are concerned that oh, her marital situation is so bad, or oh, her psychological well-being, oh, that is a huge here. Like, oh, I think she's like a mental case now. She's depressed and all of that. I'm like, you're so concerned about this person. Let's go talk to them. Maybe they need help. Oh, no, 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 no. I was just expressing my concern. Well, yeah, go express that concern to that person and talk to them about it.
Yeah, if you ever, I've been guilty of also engaging in gossip and saying things that I should have held in confidence, or I wasn't sure if I should hold it in. And after I'm walking away from that conversation, it's almost as though I felt dirty, as though like, oh my God, I shared
Yes,
something with that person, and now they have this sacred word that, I mean, I'm guilty of that, and I believe it's an ongoing process throughout our lives to be able to confront gossip and not engage with it. there's
absolutely.
there's ways to not do that. Like if somebody's sharing something that may be negative, you can say, well, I'm sorry you feel that way. You can express empathy and understanding, but you don't have to co-sign the gossip.
That's true. That's true. We can talk because we're social beings. We can talk about it and perhaps support the person if they really need any support, but nevertheless not engage in this kind of behavior. And besides, people who do engage in that kind of idle talk, sometimes they just need entertainment. And for that particular entertainment, they have to have time. I don't have time. I don't have time for any type of gossip, any type of idle talk. In fact, chit chat kills me. I don't like chit chatting with people. You know, the social little sweet talk that we have to do, like walking around somebody and have to have this social, a little beautiful conversation. How's life? You know, that how's the weather and all of that before people warm up to each other. I don't want to know how you like. I don't want to know how your vacation went because you are gonna, as that kind of a person, gonna tell me all those juicy details about other people who are also there and how bad they look to also keep your face up, right, and expand your beautiful image on the background of those unpleasant looking people, sort of, right?
Hmm.
So that and
Yeah, I mean, I think we often also engage in gossip out of to express frustration and disconnection in certain experiences that we have, dissatisfaction. I mean, think of a time when you go to a restaurant, you have a really good time. If a person has a negative, when I was when I was practicing as a chef, it would say, like, if one person has one negative experience, they tell 10 people. If they have a positive experience, they might tell one. So it seems to be a tendency of people to gossip when they feel negative as a means to cope with a negative emotion.
exactly. More of that than with the positive ones, right?
Yes, they can perceive their injustices and grievances in another person. And we know just who to call sometimes, who will co-sign our things. And that's really one thing to look at as well. What are the kind of people do you have in your life? Are those people just telling you what you want to hear, or just listening? Are they lifting you up and telling you, hey, try to see that person's side of the story?
Exactly. And I would prefer also, you know, the truth to be told right into my face. Doesn't matter. Don't sugarcoat anything for me. Come and tell me the truth. I appreciate that. You know, I had to even address my friends because sometimes that I noticed that they would be talking behind my back and I would know it. You know, I'm a seer, and a lot of the times I can hear the conversations of people when it pertains to me, and I know what they're talking about. This is just the gift that I have, and I speak about it a lot on the other radio show which I host with Dr. Elliot as
Paranormal
well,
ties
called
in the
Science
paranormal.
Side of the paranormal, yes. And to me, I know when people talk about me, and it feels good when I know and I hear those words that are said about me behind my back with other people, right, when they're discussing me. But I can also hear, not every time, of course, otherwise I would just go crazy, thank God, and people don't discuss me that much. And which is good, and usually in good terms. But a lot of the time, not a lot of the time, but sometimes they do engage in this kind of a gossip, like they have concerns about this and that, and behind my back they look for solutions for me, and I sit here and I don't even know about my own concerns. Come tell me, maybe I have a problem, but discuss that with me, please. So I even had to address it with my own friends and say, listen, the true friendship means open your mouth, come to me, and kindly tell me, what do you think is wrong with me or in our relationship, or perhaps I'm doing something wrong. Don't go behind my back. Don't withhold it. Come and tell me. I would rather know the bitter truth than sweet lie. I hate sweet lies. And besides, you have to stay honest all the time to yourself and to other human beings around you.
A
So I
sweet
prefer
lie?
honesty.
They
A
have
sweet
sweet
lie.
lies?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
White lies, right, Dr. Sherry?
okay.
White lies.
I know people have always I've encountered people and they're like, "It's just a small lie." I'm like, "A lie is a lie."
A
Big,
lie
small.
is a lie.
Mhm.
Exactly. I attempt not to tell something sometimes rather than to tell a lie, because withholding some information is not telling a lie, it's not lying to somebody. It is done for different reasons, and perhaps people are not ready to hear something, right? And especially in the therapy practice that I have, I cannot tell people immediately what I think, what the solutions are going to be, right? We all live on our own time schedule. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so withholding something, it would better be to withhold some information than to lie.
Yeah, I think it's like you ask yourself, is what I'm saying or what I'm doing morally or right or wrong? Does it align with my values?
Yeah, that is also people spread gossip and rumors because it means something to them, what is called instrumentally our relatives. It gives information that is helpful to us, right? And somehow we try to justify certain behaviors, and then we just need to make a meaning at what is happening. Besides, the rumors, they spread essentially in the times of uncertainty, right? Because it addresses those uncertain times that we don't understand. That It usually spread during the times of confusion. People need the answer. They need to find an answer for something. And like, for example, in the times of COVID, right? And the times when the entire world went behind the masks of sanity. Dr. Sherry, had that topic. They
Yes.
went behind the masks of sanity. That was pure insanity with all those masks, of course. We all went insane to one degree or another.
Well, yeah, unfortunately, some people use gossip as to feel a sense of power and control. So they use power as a means to manipulate a situation in their favor or like create dominance in the group or situation they're in.
Oh yeah, it's what is it called? Like the wedge rumors, right? That when they try to put a wedge between two people or between two groups, because the one group is always has to put another one down. Have you noticed that? We don't
Hmm.
respect another one. Talking about the football teams, like no, they always slander each other, right? And different kinds of, even the university departments. Oh no, we're always better. We're always better, right?
It's
So
that
that.
social hierarchy. We're gossiping to have that social hierarchy.
Yeah, and to feel better about ourselves. We're putting other people, other groups down to feel better about ourselves.
Yeah.
And when people say that, oh, I never do it, we do it because we're social creatures, because we were born into this world and we live in this society, in this civilization, right? In every society, in this civilization on earth. And yes, we do engage in that.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah. All the time. It's going on all the time, all
yeah.
around us.
Exactly. Even if when the information is unverifiable, people tend to spread all those bad rumors. You know, why do they do that? It's a very interesting thing.
Well, some
So
people I think have the biases and they think they know more than they already have the answers or the solutions. Unlike you, I'm not a seer, but I'm a beer, right? So if you don't come to somebody and tell them how you feel, how can they make a change in their life to understand where you're coming from? You know? Because we're human, right? So we're prone to error.
that's true. And we are looking to make sense of what is happening around us. You know, that sometimes we don't even care about the information. We're just trying to make sense of what is happening in this crazy world. And that is understandable unless it is hurting someone, right, directly or even indirectly, because
Hmm.
besides social bonding and information sharing and establishing norms, attributing to conflict resolution, providing entertainment and relaxation. Like the favorite pastime of some people is to gossip, right? Also, it can be done as self disclosure, right? The people talk about their own personal experiences and feelings. So, we probably should allow other people to express themselves, and that would deepen their relationship with us and with other people when they reveal that information to others, right?
Hmm.
We are human, and there is the end to that. We're human, and we will always gossip, we will spread the information because we're informational beings. But
Yes, but we have to
however,
be mindful when we spread it.
yeah,
Or
uh,
so it doesn't become misinformation and inaccuracies like you were just saying, because then it can become an absolute disaster, right? We start spreading rumors without evidence. We interpret things based on our own perceptions and biases, and often can like distortions of reality, and often it can harm relationships, reputations.
oh yeah, damage to reputation. That's a huge thing. That's absolutely huge. And in our society, we engage into uh, so much with the juicy details into the uh, damage to the reputation of other people, right? To tarnish their reputation. For example, we do that at work, right? What do we do at
Mhm.
work? We say, oh, I'm much better, but look at that employee. What do they do? And we will start gossiping, of course. And the thing is that we are such societal beings and the group beings, even if in our society we live in the individualistic society, still, nevertheless, if we hear something, we pay attention to it first, right? And then we turn on the critical factor. Not all of us, of course. A lot of us just believe all those lies.
Well, we judge by nature, right? We inherently are judgmental beings.
Yeah, but like you said, it is we can judge, and to judge, to be judgmental, and to pass judgment to different things.
Hmm.
So, what is the difference between them, Dr. Sherry?
Between what?
Between judging someone and in a negative sense, and no, passing judgment, right? Or just judging someone.
Well, I mean, are you judging them out of harm, not knowing them? I mean, are you just passing judgment to make yourself feel better? Or you're passing a judgment in a positive way, judging their character? Well, if you have verifiable information, you can say, well, that person has done A, B, and C, which leads them to not be a trustworthy person. So you're judging their character based on perhaps valid evidence. However, if you're just passing judgment because you feel like you're better than that person or they're prettier than you or whatever, then that's I don't believe that's lined up with your values. But
Yeah, but
somehow it makes people feel good on the inside.
oh, yeah, yeah, but we all have different values. And I've noticed, since I was a child, I would notice why people behave differently. Why would I think and behave this way and other people won't? Why do I think this is a kind gesture that we should approach the world and animals in this way and other people don't? And with years, I have realized that we live in this world with different kind of sort of like caste system when people live according to their own moral laws. And so we're not all the same. And of course, when we judge someone, judge meaning that we take a note critically of other people's characteristics, right? And we make an opinion of them. And that
Mm-hmm.
is forming a judgment. We have to distinguish being passing the judgment, like you said, and also being able to judge something. And that judgment is detrimental, but it's very important to be able to judge and be a critical person in order not to believe in every gossip that comes along and pass it. I saw that on the Facebook. I don't even engage with people on Facebook anymore, right? It's something for business, and but sometimes I would just like spark, just push my wrong buttons. Like, oh my God, I just have to say something here. Just have to say, and I hold myself, and I hold myself, and I hold my. And then finally, I just give in because one woman just posted recently, made a repost of somebody's repost who is asking on Facebook, please repost it. And that was some Russophobic, what is this meme that all the Russians are bad, right? Because as a society, they're just so cruel and bad. And I'm like, this is so interesting. And if I don't respond, I'm not going to be able to sleep. And I just actually
So the
just,
impulse got the best of you.
oh yeah, I just limited myself. I said, how am I going to do that? Not to really be nasty about it. So I just posted sheep mentality. You know, people don't understand that they follow the sheep mentality by posting and reposting and repeating the lies and rumors that other people spread. And of
Yes.
course, for me to go into the debate with that person on a historical relationship between United States and Russia, right? On historical facts that were happening in Russia and how the politics and economy and the society has been developing, it's useless. It's just like talking to a deaf person. You know, deaf person doesn't hear your words. And besides, people are so um, immersed in the lies that they hear, even through the social media that lies to us all the time. So we don't have any judgment. We don't have any critical factor. We believe what we're told. We believe what we have been bombarded with through TV, through radio, through everything. And we don't ask questions. This is what it is, status quo. That's it. You
Well,
know,
yes.
it,
That's
it,
some
it,
misinformation often brings out the stereotypes and prejudices of people. They bring it to light. And then
right.
it fuels the dialogue, and people are addicted to dialogue. Negative, even there's a lot of people out there, even if it's negative, they're addicted to the dialogue. And some people will just continue to gaslight in the dialogue.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Gaslight in the dialogue. I was in the mall walking the other day, and there was an elderly couple, probably in their early 70s, right? And the woman was really nicely, fashionably dressed with those long eyelashes, but it's a California thing, I believe.
No,
Really,
they have it here.
yeah, you have it there. I
The
guess
eyelashes,
it's
I think it's a
everywhere.
national
Yeah,
thing.
the 5 mile lashes. Yeah. Yeah, so she was so nicely dressed, and I could see that she really tried to look that way, of course. And I like making people feel good about themselves, and also reflecting the truth back to them. What is the truth? My truth was at the time that she looked beautiful, and I opened my mouth and I said, "You know, you look so beautiful," but then I said, "It's like the Moda Italia." Oh, she immediately knew, and of course with my accent. She's like, "Oh, thank you so much. That is so wonderful of you to say. You're such a beautiful person yourself, and you look fashionable yourself." And she was smiling and she was just blooming. And then she asked me, "Well, where are you from?" And, I used to pause and people would just say, "Oh,
You're
Sweden."
like the womb. I'm from the womb.
I'm from the womb. I would just like, be quiet for 3 seconds, and people would immediately assume that I'm Swedish, and I would say, yes, Sweden, because it would take too long for me to explain where I'm from. So in this time, 3 seconds have passed, and she didn't say anything. I'm like, okay, perhaps I need to reply, and I said, you know what? I said, I'm Russian. You should have seen the expression on her face, Dr. Sherry. The smile immediately disappeared. Her jaw dropped on the floor and broke into 1,000 pieces. Her husband even opened her mouth. Like, how? As if they just saw Putin right in front of them, right? As if they would ever. So, and she's like, oh, you're Russian. And I told her, you know what? Let's put it this way. I was absolutely attractive to you just a couple of seconds ago before you learned that I was Russian. And what happened now? I said, now I'm your first enemy. Now all of a sudden you don't want to talk to me. And why? And they're like, finally they gathered themselves and say, oh, do you like Putin like this? What does that have to do with me being Russian and liking Putin and engaging in politics? Those were just two human beings, two women talking, thinking that both of them were attractive and fashionable. That
Hmm.
changes people's perception. Absolutely. That social media people don't want to ask any questions. They judge the whole nations, but what they see on the media, right? So I said, that's fantastic. I said, I'll just keep you with your thoughts and your musings. Uh, I just said that we all have to educate ourselves, and I believe immediately what is happening there in the world. And I said that I taught political science and Russian civilization courses at American University, and this is exactly what we taught here from American textbooks. So those the historical facts, and I pointed her to the to different kinds of interviews that was did not go anywhere. It did not even enter the ear to come out of the inner. Nothing happened there. So we
Well, they're
judge.
judging a book by its cover,
Yeah,
right?
well, my cover was nice
Well,
up
again,
until
yeah.
the time they look into the book, my dear.
Absolutely. Well, that's what I think. That's why people. That's why they are judgmental. We see this beautiful cover, but until we get to know, same thing about ourselves. To what's on the inside. But when we look at people or other places and things, we judge them by what we see and our what our perception tells us. And our perception is complex. We got distorted reality. We have prejudices. We have stereotypes. We have the confirmation bias. I mean, we have a lot of stuff going on between our ears up there.
Oh, that is crazy. That is crazy. As humans, we can do such incredible things and positive things in the world, right? But we choose to believe what we have is going on between our two ears, right?
Yeah, and instead of
So,
just embracing the moment and just enjoying each other's company and taking it for what it was, when
yeah,
we dive deep into the details based on people's prejudices and their beliefs, it's sad to see something unfold as such.
it was so sad. It was so sad. Another person who asked me about a year ago, I was on the sea right here in the San Diego Bay with all those yachts right there around me. And I was just like coasting there. And there was a couple also, I don't know, like in their late 60s. And they started a conversation with me. And I responded to them. They asked me where my accent was from. And I said Russian. What do you think their immediate response was?
Open mouths again, agape?
Ah,
Were they
no, they were able
surprised?
to talk. They were able to talk. And they said that, oh, we won't shoot you.
Oh God.
I thought that is nice. Never that I approach a person from anywhere in the world and I judge them for the place that they're from. Yeah,
Well,
well,
that's
we
why we
won't.
have so much chaos in the world. I mean, we need is more love, not hate.
Yeah, but how do we know to love something if we believe all the gossips and rumors that are spread? How do we do that? I don't think it is even possible.
I believe it's
Unless we
possible,
develop
but
critical factor, right? The criticism, we have to be able, not that we talk about criticism is just such a negative thing. No, open your damn mind and put some critics there, and just approach the world, uh, knowing what is happening there with a critical factor, approaching media, right? Social media, everything that you see, and don't just mindlessly, like a sheep, repeat. Do sheep talk? No, they don't talk. They
like
blab, they bab,
they're bad. They're
they bab
bad.
whatever is happening around them. Then the one person said something negative, another person repeated, and even spreading all of that. I can't, in fact, unfriend anybody on Facebook, because this is the even the business page. But the thing is that I can't even look at all of this Russophobia. This is so horrible, and people suffer. In fact, it was so detrimental also for my career as well, for being Russian. And I should have probably just said, invented some identity for myself, right? And I would have been much better in the society, Dr. Shit. I would have been much better. And people think that, oh, this is what you do. Oh, she must be so successful, so fantastic. Life is just like so easy for her, just as like so many people think. Life is not easy for me. I'm Russian. Life is never easy for me.
I think we get so lost and we get so far away from the present moment. I'm guilty of it as well. We get so far away about what people are, who they used to be, what they're going to be, what they have, what they don't have. We forget to look right in front of us and to appreciate what is in the moment. What can we learn in this moment? What can we appreciate about this person right in front of us? We're so caught up in what is not here, or I get, you understand where I'm coming from?
And that's not the
We get
exactly
so
that is.
lost.
Yes, it is, and it doesn't even have to be Russians. It's the racial discrimination, right? We know nothing about where those people are coming from. We know nothing about their background, and nevertheless, we judge them. And why do we do that? Like, people who are anxious, they are more, and this is the psychological fact, that people who are anxious, even the anxious groups, they are more likely to spread the rumors. So if you
It
think
helps
that
you
you
cope with the anxiety, right? It's a
cope with
coping mechanism.
anxiety, yeah, but at the same time, if you are a chatterbox and the gossiper, look at yourself. If you don't want to project yourself as an anxious person to other people, you better stop gossiping, because that can be really detrimental for so many different things.
Yeah, some people get in also addicted to complaining. Like they're always complaining. And I think complaining is also a form of gossip to other people when you're constantly complaining about somebody else or complaining about something else. It's
Yeah.
a form of that.
Have you ever had any instances when people gossiped about you and it was bad?
I'm sure I have. I can't pinpoint anything right here in this moment, but yes, things have gotten back to me that people have said that I've held in confidence. There are things that also the flip side. I've also engaged in gossip that has ended up um, causing someone to feel bad or have a negative outcome of the situation. So I've been on both sides of the coin. I'm guilty of being gossiped about as well as gossiping. I try to remind myself to not complain as much, but I'm still a work in progress because I still complain and I oftentimes take part in gossip. But the more we become aware of it, the more we can try to address it. It's a
Yeah.
practice.
I had besides those interesting anecdotal stories that I have, I had one time, actually it was probably several times, then that it almost ruined my life at the time. Excuse me.
Wow, that's pretty profound there.
Yeah. I guess just psychologically, I'm going back, and it is all happening here with
You're
my
being
throat.
triggered.
I'm just being triggered. Oh, it's such a nice word that we love, right?
Trigger happy.
There. So I can tell you that story. And if we think when we gossip and we spread false information about other people, if we think that everything is going to be fine with us, you have to know when is your time coming? Because your time will come when you actually dig out a hole, a grave for another person. Beware, you might fall into it yourself, right? That is why I
Mhm.
have to, like you said, have to be so careful in what we say, what we do, because we never know how that is going to affect another person. I remember that when I was working on master's degree, I had one instructor, and at the time I did not even want to call her professor because she had a master's degree and I was working on a master's degree, and all of a sudden she was presented to us as a professor. And I'm like, she's not a professor, she's not a professor. And she's an instructor, and this is how it is I'm going to do. This is how I'm going to address her. Uh, it's like with the freedom of speech, that the information was imposed on us. Long story short, that was a new instructor that came to teach a very, in my understanding, easy class that I had to take from her. And there was a time when I was taking her class, happened to be a wedding of one of other students. And that was a gorgeous girl with her gorgeous groom. And they had an incredible wedding, beautiful, and they invited the entire faculty. And I was there with my child and my husband at the time, and it was such a beautiful side for everybody, right? My beautiful child, who was the flower girl, and myself as a maid of honor, and the beautiful bride. And the faculty was composed of unmarried women in their late 30s, early 40s, and they hated the entire establishment of the wedding. Because why? Because they were not married, including that awful instructor that I had at the time, who would later try to dig a grave for me. So, long story short, in fact, when the bride threw a bouquet, guess what?
Mhm.
All of the three unmarried instructors, smart women, all feminists, smart women, they were standing in a row while others tried to catch the bouquet. And they were also standing there because they were supposed to be standing there. Guess what? The bouquet fell right in front of them. None of them even tried to reach out and grab the bouquet. It was a disrespect to the bride in the first place. But what happened that it fell right in front of that woman, the instructor that was digging that grave for me. So before I knew it, the wedding was over and I wasn't even thinking about anything. So it was just a past. It was a unpleasant experience sometimes, but it had passed. Then I was called to the office of the chairman. So there was a chairman, the chair of the department, and the dean. And they were talking to me. They said that we need to talk to you, have a very serious conversation with you. And we're afraid that we need to let you go from the department. It was like, a snow from the mountain just fell on my head, and buried me underneath. Like, this is so interesting. Like, please elaborate on your theory. What is happening here? They told me that there are rumors that they need to investigate. In fact, they did not investigate anything about it. They just wanted to let me go. But because of those rumors they heard, their conclusion was to let me go. Why? Because those rumors were spread by the credible people, as they told me. And I said, I think I have an idea what credible person spread those rumors about me. And the rumors were that I used inappropriate language in the classroom and against her. And I said all the bad anything else words at her. And I asked the chair and the dean a question that you've known me for several years now. Do you think that I'm capable of saying that even to a friend, even to anybody on the street who stepped on my toes, right? Or did anything against me? Do you think I'm capable of even uttering those words? No, but we have this information about you that you actually did. So it was very unpleasant for me. And they said that we're going to have to let you go. And I turn around in those moments, you just have to use your head, you have to use your brain. You can't fall into pieces. And it was an immediate reaction of mine. My God, my life is being ruined at this moment by all these false allegations. So I said, you know what? I'm not a tattletailer, and I don't gossip, I don't say bad things about other people. And you know me. I told them, I said, in case of this instructor who you said that we need to call a professor. Professor is the title that you have to earn, and we need to be able to respect you for that. I said, this instructor, if you don't have any evidence of me saying those words, so do you have it? Is there a written confirmation? Is there audio confirmations? Anything, or just you made this conclusion of me being guilty as charged just based on the words of that particular individual? Oh, yes, we have to believe her. I said, well, guess what? I have witnesses of the same instructor calling students in class an idiot. And we don't call our students idiots in the United States. And I turned around and I left.
What happened? Did you get
Oh,
fired? I mean, did they let you
my
go or did you
God.
stay?
It was the summertime and I was supposed to start another year next semester, right? So I have a chair call me on the phone. It was the evening, it was like 8 o'clock in the evening. And we were friends before then. And he said, Yana, I must apologize. And he never apologized in his life. I never heard him apologize to anybody. He says, I have to apologize because we did an investigation and that instructor will never come to the United States to teach again. And we do apologize to you and we hope that you will come back to the department this year.
Yeah, so that speaks of having valuable evidence. I mean, it reminds us of that game we played as kids. Some of us called telephone or whispers.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
When we sit in a circle and the first
Broken phone,
person,
right? Yeah, they call the
hmm
broken phone.
they whisper the message that goes around to each person. The last person states what aloud what they heard, and
Mm-hmm.
often the final message differs from the original. It's funny when you're playing the game, but in a real lighthearted game. But in life, that's how rumors are formed. You have a gossip,
Absolutely.
and then the misinformation turns it into rumors.
The rumors, exactly. Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are broadcasting live from United Public Radio Network, 107.7 FM, from a fantastic New Orleans where Dr. Sherry resides, and that is in Louisiana. So we are thankful to you for joining us today, listening and watching. And we welcome you to come and contact us and send us your questions, send us an email, and just talk to us. Get in contact. Tell us your stories. Tell us your perspectives of what you would like us to discuss. We welcome everything. Today, we're talking about gossip. And gossip is such a difficult topic. In fact, Dr. Sherry, we never talk about anything that is so light and nice and just like so light. We always have to delve deep into some sort of an issue, right?
Well, like Carl Jung says, it's going to be very painful to bring the unconscious conscious.
Yeah,
So we're in the nitty gritty. Like gossip. There's a quote. It says, Gossip needn't be false to be evil. There's a plenty of truth that doesn't need to be spread." So there's also, in addition to it being negative, there's a lot of times people share true things about other people that becomes an evil or harmful.
and that's right. And that also it damages the reputation. People can have financial loss, right? They negatively impact businesses,
Lead to scandals.
scandals,
Can you
has
think of any
cycle.
scandals?
Ooh,
out there.
scandals. Getting to the juicy, juicy, juicy affairs, Dr. Sherry, juicy. Remember the Lewinsky scandal in 1998? Oh my God, if people are not familiar with that, that was one of the most infamous gossips created in our history, recent history, the Lewinsky scandal, which involved President Clinton, Bill Clinton, I can't even pronounce it, and Monica Lewinsky, a former White House intern. The scandal erupted when it was revealed that Clinton had engaged in a sexual relationship with Lewinsky while serving as president. The scandal led to Clinton's impeachment by the House of Representatives, of course, on charges of perjury and obstruction of justice, though he was ultimately acquitted by the Senate. But do you remember the time, Dr. Sherry?
I do. I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
And then what happened? I did not have sexual relations, right?
He's
And
the
when
same
people,
one that said he inhaled marijuana, but no, he smoked it, but he didn't inhale it.
he smelled it. What did he say? He smelled it.
He said I believe it's Bill Clinton said he smoked marijuana, but he didn't
Uh-huh.
inhale.
Ah, nice, nice. Yeah, but we all know it's true. Well, Dr. Sher, what are you talking about? When we
What's the
smoke,
point,
when,
right?
when we smoke, that's exactly what happens. We never inhale, right? It's a
No,
social thing. We all smoke
right.
pot, especially in the White House, right? It's just a regular pastime for us, right? But I was so taken aback by the media discussing this case all over the world.
I
And
mean,
I
it led
thought,
to an
why?
impeachment
Led to an impeachment, but yeah, why couldn't it be done quietly? Not without all of those details, for Pete's sake, what happened under his desk and the dresses and all that. Why?
because we call that a distraction to the real things that are going on around us. Who
What was
knows?
happening at the time?
Well, just in general, when we have all this, what people call fake news and propaganda, we miss out on the things that are really happening. Or
Oh,
how can we
yeah.
address the real things out there?
You're absolutely right, because I remember that when I used to teach, and my students would always discuss some cases. Oh, this is like we caught the Russian spies, so the Russian spies caught us. Oh, we have to do the exchange, or any kind of economical news or some rumors that we would know. I would say, oh, this is very interesting. We have to look for the root cause, what is actually happening around us, right? And we would find it. So you're absolutely right. All those scandals can also be created, but not that Lewinsky was actually sent to him to do that, right? To provoke him. But who knows, right? Who knows? Maybe she was a
Well,
Russian spy.
she
Dr.
went on to
Sherry.
she has a TED Talk. She has a TED Talks. I did listen to it. This is
Uh-huh.
probably a couple years ago. I don't recall what it's about. It maybe it has to do with shame. How about? But she has come out to talk about it and how it impacted her life and all that. We really don't know. I think one thing that listeners should also just be aware of is like you can watch TikToks or these little reels or shorts that go on, to tell you all these things, but it's very important to verify the information.
Oh,
Verify
yeah.
what you're hearing. I mean, you hear so many things. It's like they're like, don't eat this, eat that. Same person, same two different people telling you why you shouldn't eat this. This person's telling you why you should eat the same item. So
Absolutely, because we lack the critical factor. We don't want to think because we prefer it to be told to us. And it's much easier, right? We scroll like mad when we have some free minute. We just get on that Facebook, we get on the Instagram, and those are endless reels. And sometimes I catch myself, oh, yeah, I was watching something interesting, and all of a sudden, the time has passed and I'm not, my brain is nowhere to be found. So that's the thing, and that is a hypnotic trick as well, right? Because up,
suggestibility.
we absorb all that information. We have to be really careful about it.
I recently watched. There was a short or a reel, and the guy calls a Navy recruiter. I'm assuming, or something for the Department of the United States Navy, and he picks up the phone. He's like, and he's asking the sailor on the other line. He's like, "Do you need a high school diploma or a degree to get into the Navy now?" And the recruiter, or I'm assuming it's a recruiter, said, "No, You can just sign up now. And the person on the other side was like, see, we're going to war. So I went and checked online to see what are the rules to join the military, the Navy specifically, they were speaking about. And you still need a diploma or a GED. You're less likely to get in with the GED. But it was, I'm not even sure of the information, but
Hmm.
that could be misinformation by saying, look, they no longer require you to have a diploma or a GED to get into the military. In essence, that means we're going to war. So what is that? That could
Oh,
be misinformation.
yeah, but then we try to make sense of it, right? Because it's important to us. We discuss it.
Well, and for people who don't think to go look it up, like to, because when I looked it up on online, it said you still need a diploma. I mean, a diploma or a GED to get into the Navy specifically. However, someone who doesn't have the capacity to go look for it, they may believe, oh my God, we are going to war. You don't even need a
We
degree
can
to
do
get in.
it. Exactly.
Hmm. So people latch on to what they hear, is what you're saying, that misinformation.
Yeah, and that is the detrimental factor in it. Is misinformation, disinformation that we like so much about it.
Yes, I mean, another thing that comes to mind is like witness testimony. Just
Mm.
because witness testimony is very unreliable. We can use it, but a lot of times our own perception, our own confirmation biases, our social influences, these things influence our social expectations. And oftentimes we may think we have seen something and it wasn't what
And
we
it
really
wasn't.
saw.
Exactly. Yeah.
And our memories change over time, especially when you're learn, especially when you're gaining something under trauma, right? A traumatic experience.
True. Absolutely is the
Are your
case.
memories ship shifting right now?
My short-term memory, my long-term memory, yeah, it's all fading up with time, with the age. I'm thinking like, oh, it used to be much different. Now I'm forgetting things.
Hmm.
But especially with trauma, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if we look at that, the Lewinsky scandal, and we were talking about the Soviet Union again, there was a Red Scare, remember, in 1950s during the Cold War era in the United States. It was a very, very profound thing that was happening. The rumors and paranoia about communist infiltration.
The famine there,
Oh,
people
oh,
lined up on the streets.
well, that, and it's also about the communists, right? Like we hated so much communists that we started to kill our own people and accuse them of being communists. Many people were falsely accused of being communist sympathizers or spies, and that led to investigations, blacklisting, loss of employment, and social stigmatization. Remember that uh, I Love Lucy show?
Hmm.
They were accused of being communists. Can you imagine that? So I'm thinking that it's okay, like in comparison with the Soviet Union, right? There was Stalin who was sending the Russia's own people to camps and imprison them. So what happened here? It's the same thing. It was like the witch hunt. God forbid to spread the communist information. Well, I'm not defending that, but it was actually it took place against our own people here in the United States, people who had nothing to do here. It's like a modern day witch trial, right? So that was what changed from 1692, from the Salem witch trials to the Red Scare. What happened? I think history repeats itself.
It still is. It always will. My mom always reminds me of that. Like when I was at one point enmeshed in politics a couple years ago, and she's like, "It's nothing we haven't seen before. It just repeats
Mm-hmm.
itself."
Mm-hmm.
And I
It
think it's just becoming more widespread with the what we call fake news and stuff because we have so much at our fingertips now. We didn't always have these things. They
yeah.
like more people died back in the history than we're losing today.
Yes, exactly. And then also remember that we had a satanic panic in the 80s and 90s. I
Satanic
actually,
panic.
a satanic panic. They just, it was a very interesting name. I actually could not even believe when I learned about it that was happening in the United States. It referred to a period of moral panic in our country during the 80s and 90s. It was characterized by the widespread fear of satanic ritual abuse and
Oh, like
occult
anarchy.
practices. Anarchy, right? And
Hmm.
I would see that so many times the symbol A written everywhere. And yeah, like we can laugh now, but it was the daycare workers that they were accused of practicing Satanism and abusing children. You know that the many of these accusations were based on coerced testimonies that from children, and later proven to be unfounded. And guess what? You can put anything into children's mind, anything, and even in the minds of adults, and they will
Hmm.
take that information as the truthful information that ever happened to them. Yeah, the creation of false memories is very profound. And if you
Hmm.
repeat one and the same lie again and again, it becomes truth to you. You can even uh, be truthful on the polygraphic test. Have you ever thought of that?
Yeah, a lot of
If,
some people who are that lack empathy can pass those tests. Again, that's why that's another tool that's not very reliable to use against others.
oh yeah, it is not very reliable at all, but you can actually fake it. I remember that when you and I were doing the training in medical hypnosis. So remember that we had what's it called? Biofeedback. There,
Biofeedback.
biofeedback. I just in my mind, I just like could never comprehend that the idea whether that they did anything specific for us and practical. That the professor asked me to be his guinea pig, and he just put all of this electrodes
Wires.
on me, wires, and then he started talking to me. And I remember what he said. He said, "I cannot believe it that you're not reacting to anything." He said that you could be just a very good spy. And, and later I learned that it is, you can easily fool the polygraphic test as well. So it is not a reliable tool at all. If you repeat the same lie many times, don't ever use it, people. Don't ever do that uh, in the negative with negative intentions. If you repeat it to yourself many times, it becomes a truth to you.
To some, I think high sensitive people may have a more difficult time. Like I don't think I would be able to hide from a polygraph test because I wouldn't pass it. If I'm lying, I think it'd pick up. I don't think I have the capability of doing that. I'm one of
Well,
those. Like, because
mm,
I believe inherently inside of my body, I don't think that I can trick nature personally. What's happening naturally in the brain and what's based on my all of my mechanisms going on up here and in the heart and all those things and the blood pressure. I personally don't think I could trick nature.
oh
Just
yeah. But
mhm.
interestingly enough, my dear Dr. Sherry, we trick nature with our people, with patients who come to us, right, with hypnosis. We trick their nature somehow. We help them get rid of different ailments, right, and problems in their lives and bad habits.
But
Nevertheless,
essentially
we
they're
do
doing
that.
that all on their own,
They do
right?
that on
Because
their own, but with our help. So
we're
it
just
does help.
assistants.
Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly, exactly. But that is also good to know because people like you, they have a difficulty lying.
Well, and I think just if you learn people like face reading and body cues, and you understand where how people hold their feet, and just different. If you understand nonverbal cues, nature, I believe, will always give someone away. Always, but
Oh
I think it's
yes,
something you have to study and you have to know.
either micro expressions, and of course that you have to have video equipment for that. But it's also easy to learn how people's behavior is, what the baseline of that particular individual, right? And then you know whether the person is lying or not. But then
Hmm.
it is easy um, to fool the polygraphic test. That's for sure. Well, not only we as human beings involved on our little mundane societal level, gossiping, spreading rumors, and being lied to, and lying to ourselves, or we'll just love lying to ourselves. It's also happens on not just the micro level, it happens on macro level, because our governments also spread rumors in order to attain their goals. For example, if we look at the 2003, the Iraqi weapons of mass destruction case, the operation that led to the operation of invasion in Iraq by U.S. government under the President George Bush, he made claims that Iraq possessed weapons of mass destruction as a justification of military action. So these claims were based on a faulty intelligence and later proved to be false. But what happened meanwhile, dissemination of this information led to a costly and controversial war in Iraq, and many of our guys, our innocent boys, died there. So, and not only our government. It's okay. Let's look at the Reichstag fire in 1933. Following the Reichstag fire in Germany, which was blamed on communist agitators. Oh my God, communists are everywhere. Oh my God. Everywhere we're so afraid of them. The Nazi government under Adolf Hitler spread rumors and propaganda to stoke fear and justify the suppression of political opponents. The fire was used as a pretext to enact emergency measures, including the suspension of civil liberties, the arrest of thousands of political dissidents, and a consolidation of power by the Nazi regime. And it sounds a little bit too familiar to what is happening right now, people.
It's just a rep. I think it's just the wheel keeps turning. Always will. We're always going to keep evolving, and I don't think we're ever going to be without war, because war is where we shift funds and the like, right? A lot of money, a lot of wealth, and corporations, greed. All of those things seem to be wrapped in that thing. And I do believe communism is alive and well in some places in the world. I don't believe we're without it. However, I don't know enough about each of these regimes or these places to give my input or to form a bias of it at this point.
That is so interesting that the West, particularly United States, we try to eradicate communism. What the hell? Let them live with communism. Why do we need to care about that? But now, because it was threatening, and we had to suppress it somehow, right? Even at the cost of our the lives of our own people here, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you remember, not like we lived at those times. Actually, we did. So there was a Operation Mockingbird in 1950s and 70s, if you remember that. That
Were they spreading gossip and mocking about things?
yeah, that was a covert CIA operation aimed at influencing media organizations and journalists to spread propaganda and disinformation both domestically and internationally. The operation involved the recruitment of journalists to write and promote stories that align with the CIA agenda, and often without the knowledge of their employers or audiences. And I remember that because I remember how I was so young there, right? I was like in the 70s, late 70s when I was born. Um, I had a neighbor, and he was in his early 70s, I believe, uh, just recently, a fantastic guy. And he was a professor of counseling psychology. He was actually in his private practice and also a professor of psychology at the University of Missouri, and also my neighbor. And we love chatting, and I love speaking with the older people. I love hearing their stories, and they love to talk. And it's really nice to even give them the platform to talk, even without microphone. So he told me that he was approached also by people he did not even know who they were, but they recruited him, and they sent him to different places in the world, including the former Soviet Union, to work as a profiler. And most of the time, he didn't know who was paying him, who was handling his affairs, and they would create the situation at the department, not just a situation. They would create a story and provide the background for his absence while he was working for the government. So you never know. And he was coming back with, of course, with his understanding of the situation and being actually a wheel in the big system of information and disinformation. So if we look at that, we are not only guilty as on the small scale, small human scale, it is also done on big scale as well.
Yeah, I think gossip is always going to be around. It's not going anywhere. I think it's just tuning into yourself and learning to be mindful about gossiping and think about when you walk away from it, how do you feel? Do you feel good? Do you feel like crap because you just crapped on someone else's I mean like their personality or their
Yes,
character?
absolutely. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. While it is all done for manipulating public opinion by the governments, and we too want to spread the false information, we're also manipulating the opinions of other people, right?
Yeah.
We create divisions and generate fear, of course, but that is on the macro level. To discredit opponents, what is happening right now, right? Diverting attention, just like was said, and nothing new under the sun, Dr. Sherry. Nothing new.
So does the satanic panic, has it evolved into organic is the new panic?
What do you mean?
That's just a joke. Well, because everybody's like, if don't panic, it's organic. Because like so many people are so worried if they're not eating organic that, some people have even slayed other
Um,
people. So instead of it being satanic, organic. I mean, is organic the new panic?
I had a person visiting me some one time recently, and she looked into my fridge, and she was so petrified. She said, "Yana, you have nothing to eat." I'm like, "What are you talking about? I have a full fridge of food." And she's like, "No, your yogurt is not organic." She's like this. Well, then my yogurt isn't organic. And I looked at it. Yeah, it wasn't, but it's really tasty, And then she looked at my eggs, and I buy free range eggs, right? Grass fed. Ah, but she also found something that was negative with them. They were not fertilized. Those eggs in my fridge were not fertilized. Oh, God forbid. I don't want to eat fertilized eggs. So, this of something not being organic, it is so overthought, over
Well, I think a lot of
popularized.
things are today. I think gossiping and a lot of topics of today, we fret about the smallest things, the smallest details these days. Just something small can set us off.
Oh, yeah. Isn't it because we have too much, Dr. Sherry?
Perhaps, I think overstimulated, so much coming
Overstimulated,
in.
too much, so
Mhm.
much coming in. Exactly. So much information. We don't know where to run, which information to take and run with it and spread rumors and affect negatively other human beings,
There's a lot
right?
of contradiction. You hear like, "Don't eat oatmeal. You better eat oatmeal." Da 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 da. So it's just interesting. It's very fascinating, the evolution of our people and the
Yeah.
mind, and it will be very interesting to see years from now how AI is going to influence us.
No, AI is going to put all this nice stuff into my fridge by itself. They're just going to order it by itself and deliver it by itself. I have that fridge with a TV monitor, and I can see what's inside of the fridge on my app on my phone. And it also sends you the reminders what to buy when stuff gets low in my fridge, right? It also tells that, oh, you need to buy this, you need to buy that. So I have had it like for the past
You
5 years.
wouldn't have to think for yourself.
I don't have to think. I don't have to think. The only thing, oh my God, that they didn't think about that my eggs were not fertilized. But that's a huge omission on this part.
Well, one thing that like I use AI, I use Chat GPT for things, and I think it's a very cool, innovative tool. However, after being a scholar and doing so much work with citations and making sure you don't um,
Plagiarize.
plagiarize,
Oh, yeah.
like just even on Chat GPT, I'm like, I get really worried. I'm like, I have to go look this up. Is this, is there another confirmation? Does this research back this up? And
Yeah. 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 So, what
Hmm.
do we do, Dr. Sherry, about the gossip? How can we stay free from it?
I don't think we can. I think it's how we approach it and how.
That's it. We're helpless. We're doomed.
Well, you could either when you're talking to someone who's gossiping, and especially if it's toxic gossip, right? I mean, it's making you ill listening to it. You can exit the conversation nicely, or you can just listen and just, I understand. Yeah, I can understand how you see that. It's unfortunate that you're going through that. You don't have to co-sign it, but you can. There are ways you can to handle gossip without becoming enmeshed in it and making it a part of who you are.
Exactly. Exactly. That is, don't tarnish your character by just involving in the gossip. And you can unknowingly do that. And we can't say that, oh, we will just judge so strongly for it. No, we engage in that unknowingly. So that is why it is absolutely important to educate ourselves and promote critical thinking, and not only others to educate them, educate ourselves. Know what stands behind, ask questions what stand behind certain information, because that can be so bad. It can be for you because you're not being honest, right? And not the, some people don't even care about being honest, but nevertheless, there are consequences of not being honest. Always, always, always. So you know what? There are also consequences if you don't watch our show. Be honest. Talks with Dr. Sherry and Dr. Yana, because you might miss an opportunity to learn how to live honestly.
That's right. It's really the
Yeah,
only way to live and to feel good about
yeah,
yourself. Truly.
yeah. Yeah, we have to engage in
It's a
trusted
practice.
sources, learning about the correct information. If we hear a lot of things from the media, and a lot of conflicting information, right? We have to know where this information comes from and what purpose does it serve, whether to take your attention from something more important or just to make you one of the flock of the sheep. And the most important thing is not to be sheep, but to
Yeah, because
have the
that could be
brains.
real bad.
Bad. That's very bad. Yes, exactly. Promote positive narratives, not false narratives, because even wars have started with false narratives, a provocation, and that is all. What's the provocation? It's the false gossip and rumor. That's the provocation.
Yeah, like you said earlier, there's a quote out there. I think it says, "I'd rather be slapped in the face with the truth than stabbed in the back."
Yeah,
Mhm.
actually, I don't want to be slapped in my face for anything.
Well, the truth can hurt, right? They say the truth can hurt.
It does, absolutely, it does. Truth hurts, but I would rather hear truth than live for the rest of my life in the lie. But the lie is sweet, Dr. Sherry. Lie is very sweet. We love and
Bittersweet,
cherish those
maybe.
lie. Bittersweet. For some of us, it's such a fantastic feeling lie. We lie to ourselves to preserve our faces, right,
Hmm.
to keep it up the certain image to the world. And yeah, we don't want to take the masks off.
No,
Yeah,
it's some people live behind the illusion that it's a lot easier to live behind a mask, but it's really not because you're always having the ticking tick 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 tick.
and
But
it's
when
going
you
to
can
catch
just
up.
show up authentically
Exactly.
you, hmm
You, absolutely. And if we think about changing the society, we can spread some rumors, but then we have to ask, am I just a ram, a sheep in the flock, right? Or I'm actually can spread the positive and the good information about what is happening there in the world,
yeah,
right?
spread rumors that lift. Don't spread rumors that drift.
That is a nice quote. Did you think of that, Dr. Sherry? We need to
I
quote you
did. I
everywhere.
just did.
Spread rumors that lift, not
Not drift.
those that drift.
Because
That is
grifters drift,
fantastic.
right?
Dr. Sherry said it. We're attributed it to her. It's going to be a viral phrase. Now everyone will use it.
That's right.
To lift, not drift, and not
Hmm.
split. Yeah, that's for sure. We get engaged in all sorts of bad detrimental practices in our lives. But we have to understand that the change in the society starts with ourselves. Well, we can talk about that until what, the pigs fly and cows come home, like you like to say, until
Yeah.
cows come home. Yeah, but that's a fact. That's a fact.
Yeah,
Go
yes.
go
It
anywhere with a position, from the
mhm.
position of love. I don't ask anyone to love your neighbor as you love yourself, because this statement is such a false statement in its base, in its foundation. It's a very false statement. We don't love ourselves. We don't love ourselves. How can we love the neighbor when we don't love ourselves? So if we hate ourselves and we have a neighbor, we're gonna hate that neighbor and do the
Well,
huge
I think
projection.
we'll just project onto the world, project onto people, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Project our own insecurities out. And if you, I mean, you can talk about things and you can talk about people and you can make a judgment based on something you've experienced. But if you don't go and speak to that person and you just keep ruminating and talking about it and spreading gossip, I don't think it gets you anywhere.
It doesn't get anybody
It just
anywhere, and that's a
it
waste
just
of
marks your
time.
character, right? It just puts an like a slash in your own character.
And have you noticed that this is how we judge the world around us, Dr. Sherry? When I see people talk about, engage in certain conversations, even if I'm against that, I'm not going to come and stop and really try to change their opinion, right? But I would form an opinion in my mind, and I know this is not the person to socialize with, not engage in any type of a conversation, because tell me what your convictions are, and I will tell you who you are, right?
Yeah.
What you believe in, and I already immediately know who you are. So those people who gossip, so those people who can't keep their tongue behind their teeth, uh, I would just advise against that. Get a hobby, get something that interests you, do something constructive versus just sitting on a bench and talking about other people.
Yeah, don't stay
That's
stagnant.
that's the easiest thing, is just to sit and discuss someone, right? And gossip about. Because why? Because that takes responsibility of that inaction for ourselves, of ourselves, right?
Yep.
All of a
Don't be a
sudden,
stagnant magnet.
yeah, we can just say, oh, just look at that person on TV, or like, for example, the movie stars. Oh, just look what they did. What did you do? You're sitting on your couch watching TV, what this person have accomplished, right? About the movie star that you're discussing, right? With the beer belly, for example, and the sack of potato chips on your belly, and just eating, laying down, discussing everyone, putting all that information on social media. Look at yourself first and take the log out of your eyes, both eyes, before you take a speck or notice a speck in other people's lives,
Hmm.
eyes, and lives as well.
It's the window to the soul, right?
Yes, that's right.
Hmm.
So that was a very interesting topic. And of course, it's a bottomless topic.
Yeah. So what's up for next week?
I don't know, Dr. Sherry, what shall we talk?
I think we've decided maybe manipulators in the world.
Manipulators. Come and hear about manipulators. What types of manipulators? What we do with them? How to avoid being manipulated? And how to recognize the signs
There's
of
something
manipulation.
There's something I remember when we were doing the episode of Masks of Sanity, and you were asking me, what's the difference between a psychopath and a sociopath? And I kept telling you that they are interchangeable. And you're like, well, what is the difference? And I was like, well, they're used interchangeably. So I wanted to come back and to inform you that a sociopath is more driven by what society would have them. And a psychopath is something that's going pretty much, I think they're both have it going up psychopathy up here. It's something having to do with the psychology of the person. But someone who is considered a sociopath, it's usually having to do with something of a societal expectation or norm. So to bring that to light and manipulation and to differentiate the two, I remember that.
Oh, it got stuck in your head. And
Yeah.
that's, you kept digging. Now you found this, all this
Well, because
information. You
I just keep
analyze it
forgetting. I
all.
keep forgetting to tell you or to bring it to you because I remember I was like you kept asking and I'm like well they're interchangeable and like specifically. So yes. So
Well, that's
socio, remember it's social. Psychopathy, it's
it's
psychological.
psycho.
But
It's
often
psycho.
it's very psycho oftentimes, and even though it's like what like 1% of the population. So it's a very small, thankfully, very small percent.
But if we look at that, which we should discuss next time,
We will.
the while clinical psychopathy involves such a small percentage because psychopaths don't go into therapy. There's nothing wrong with them. They will never come, just like narcissists, they will never go to therapy, right? We will never know. In fact, there are a lot of people who exhibit the
Psychopathic traits.
psychopathy, exactly,
Hmm.
psychopathological traits on everyday life. They don't come, we can't really put a diagnosis on them psychopaths, right? But they're socialized psychopaths. There are many of them amongst us. So come next time, next Friday, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone who's listening to us and watching us, please come and help us discuss this conversation. Help us pinpoint all pros and cons, and there's going to be probably more cons than pros of that, of manipulation, but perhaps you will find out how you manipulate people and how people manipulate you, so you will not fall prey for them. So thank you for watching us. It's been Be Honest podcast with Dr. Sherry and Dr. Yana. Join us next time. Have a good day.
Ciao.